post pleadings say or don't say, and then how, what our approach will be to respond to them. So that's really all I can say at this juncture on that. I just did, in the context of the work session, I have a couple of just general comments I wanted to make almost as a report. There's been some questions that have been raised out of the zoning department, and I just want to try and clean them up if I can. The distinction between an upset sale and a free and clear sale. An upset sale, when someone is delinquent in its taxes or his or her or their taxes, at a certain point in time, the county will list that property for a share sale, and that's an upset sale. And what that means is the buyer assumes that property subject to any liens or encumbrances that are on it, whether it's a tax delinquency, whether it's a mortgage, whether it's a lien, a municipal lien, or otherwise. So Tom had some stuff that was, Mr. Craig had some properties that he was enforcing. I had some liens filed on them. They were sold, but they weren't paid. They don't have to be paid because that buyer took it subject to those liens. So our liens are still perfected on those properties. They're still good liens as of today on the upset sale. If that person ever goes to sell it and the buyer does an appropriate search, it has to be paid. If he ever goes to refinance it, acquire any kind of financing to leverage that property or mortgage it, then we'll still get paid. So our lien is still good on that issue. Now, the other question came up with a free and clear sale, and that came up in the context of a issue with liens that we had for, what were they, taxes, Mark? Sewer bills. Okay, so a free and clear sale is different. It's the next step in the process, and if the property is sold at a free and clear sale, everything is wiped out up to the date of the closing, or the sale. And yes, we receive notice, yes, we have a right to go, but our rights are just like everybody else's. We don't just show up or file something and all of a sudden our lien is perfected. Our right is to go and buy it. And that's really what happens, because now all those mortgage holders or those huge taxing bodies have the right to go in there and they'll bid up to the amount that they're owed to try to force the bid price up. But we're going to be, with a lien like that, we're in the hundreds of dollars, which is important to us, but we're never going to be in the game to bid. I don't think we want to go to those sales and buy a property for $20,000 when we have a $2,000 sort of. So, in direct answer to the questions that kind of came out of that, we have to readjust our billing to the date of the sale, as long as we're provided with appropriate notice from the county that it was a free and clear sale and it took place on date X. Anything behind that is gone. It is wiped out. And the positive note is that now we're back on the books and we get to start from there. So in this particular instance, the property owner hasn't paid prior to nor subsequent to her successful bidding on that property. She owes us from the day she bought it at that sheriff's sale, and any of our interest in our ordinance that would, or penalties that would apply from that date forward, we're appropriate to charge. We just can't go beyond that prior date. So this person actually was correct. I think they argued that our bill was $350 too high, and they were right, but they still didn't pay subsequent to the day they bought it either. So that kind of addresses that issue. And I think that was it. There was one other concern that came out of the department, and it was regarding a home, an anonymous complaint on a home business. And I think that the test that is applied there, and I think that there was also some consultation with Mr. Gill, from the department, which I think was good, because he is the zoning solicitor, is that where is the work actually performed? Is it performed elsewhere, or is work being performed on site? And I think with this here that I can run my office on this from here, it's getting fuzzier and fuzzier, but I think that the clearest test that we can say is, where are they conducting their actual business? If you're in the business of, and this was an allegation about a transportation service, are they running that physical transportation service from that residence, or are they doing it elsewhere? And do they just have an address where they're getting some business mail or licenses there? So I think that was the prudent approach. It was the cautious approach, and I think that's the way that we're going to proceed at this point. Unless there's any...
This is right around the corner from me. I've used this company before. The one I'm talking about, because it's, like I said, right around the corner from me.
Okay.
But you're saying that the standard is where is the work performed?
Correct.
Because I don't want to have a problem with this.
Yeah.
But I know that they do store cars there.
That's different. That's a different fact, and that, once you get into that point, if they're actually running now, all right, if we're gonna talk about a limousine service, the limousine could really be an SUV too, that they're running people to the airport and back with. And if he's using that to park in his driveway because that's his normal car that he uses as part of his business as well, it starts getting fuzzy again. But if now there's 3 or 4 limousines there, and it's clearly not his, it's a stretch limo that is, a Hummer that he's taking.
I don't think it's stretched. I think I just driven by, I go by all the time. I typically see like Lincoln Town Car, like 2 or 3 of them parked in that garage.
It's getting grayer and grayer. It's a difficult call. It really is. And I think we have to look at it on a case-by-case basis. But if they're starting to do those types of things and they're running it out of there, and that's where they're dispatched from, Rob, they're starting to move into that area. That's where they're conducting their business. So I think that some decisions have to be made, and maybe some strategy sessions have to be held with the zoning officers when they're doing their enforcement to decide if they're going to take the chance and do that.
I don't have any problem with business as long as it's not disrupting disrupting the neighbors.
Right, and there's so many company cars out there now that if a person owns his or her own business and they take their company car home, are they now conducting their business out of their house? Probably not. It gets very difficult. And what I will do is we can maybe have some strategy sessions. We can look at the facts that they have available to them, and we can decide whether or not we're going to challenge the specific business. And if we do that, then we just have to be ready with the appropriate law.
And we have to apply that equally then across all businesses.
Absolutely.
Now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If we're going to do it, we have to do it. Yes.
Well, Sam, I'm just going to speak completely for myself because you know the allegations against me. I would like to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
And I would like a piece of paper put in front of us that this council could pass.
Well, I think that the issue with you is that, as far as I understand it, are you producing anything in the house? Are you ripping 2x4s? Are you building cabinets? I mean, like if
No.
you're preparing for the offsite work,
No.
and you're in that gray area. You're parking your truck there, and I guess you have a trailer and your tools are inside it, right? As I understand the facts of your.
I have a tow trailer outside my home, and yes, that is I'm assuming that is the allegation against me. I don't know exactly.
That was not what was presented to me. This was a different scenario. And again, I think that your business is performed off-site. I think a lot would. Are you meeting? Are you using it in your house? And this is where it really gets to the point where we're in the middle of a prosecution for it. What do your tax records say? What do your corporate records say? Those are all the things that begin to come into play on those types of things. I think clearly where you do your business is going to be a telltale sign. It's going to be a big factor. It's going to weigh very heavily, much more so than some of the other things. And I think every case has to be looked at for what our zoning officers bring back to us, what their evidence reveals. I think it's hard.
I don't mean to interrupt again, but this council passed their lawyer's dollar to somebody else. I would like to do the same. I would like clarity. I mean, I've been in this town 9 years now, and this is the 4th time this has gone against me, and I'm sick of it.
You haven't been cited, though. No one
No,
is
I
in a
understand
position
that, but
you're
this is
violating.
ridiculous that politics keep bringing this up already. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't know. I'm sorry, but I know there's other people at this table that face the same thing that I have going at them, and I just think we should include the rest of it. Sorry.
No, I understand. I mean, I could continue to look at some of the cases and how they interpret that stuff, and we could, it doesn't have to be a closed discussion tonight. I think that we could continue to talk about it over time, but, I would tell you this, Rick, if you're telling me that you do prep work on site, where you prepare, and I don't really even know what kind of work you do. I know you're a construction
Contractor.
If you're telling me you build cabinets there, or you have a shop in your garage and you're running those things, I'd say that's clear. You're working out of your home as a business.
But even in regards to limo lights, I mean, just parking cars there isn't.
That's the point. And we are opening up, and I'm going to quote your dad on this one, we're opening up a can of worms, because that's literally his quote, his email to me. And he said, I don't really know where to go with this thing, and we have to be very careful, because once you start, like you said, we got to just go, door to door and start making, any business we know, we'll open up the phone book and look in 44, find every business and start making sure that if they're in an R1 district, that they're not conducting their business there outside of what is allowed in our zoning ordinance. And it becomes a task that we could probably hire 5 more code enforcement officers, and that's all that he or she would do, is try and search those things out. I mean, he's got a spotlight on him because he's sitting at that table, obviously, and you know, he's got a truck. But if he's always said from day one, if I'm wrong, tell me, and I'll change what I have to change. He's not looking for any preferential treatment. But I haven't found any cases that tell me, you know, that that's wrong. And that's why I try to, you know, throw out the factual distinction as to what I'm confident that you would be wrong if you were doing. You know, and I asked you once when you asked me to approach me on this privately in the hallway here. You don't even meet with your customers at your house. You go to the site and you give your proposals there. So it's not like they're coming in and saying, you know, here's my portfolio book of the garages I build or whatever it is, whatever construction work you do. So it's hard, and technology is making it harder and harder to find those lines. So.
But when I had my discussion with Tom, you know, he asked me about various situations that you just spoke of, and I said, I think we really need to address this with the solicitor because of.
And he tried to, he did. I mean, he sent this email to me on the 8th, so it came a couple weeks ago.
What are we gonna do about this?
I think right now, honestly, if, you know, maybe what we need to do is I need to sit down, if he has an investigation that he's confident, or he at least believes there might be an issue, I think maybe he and I need to sit down and talk through the pros and cons of it. Almost like as if the chief had a criminal investigation that he just wasn't positive of, he may need to sit down maybe with one of the ABAs and figure out where to go. And I think that's where this one may be. And we can look at the facts that he has that he thinks he can prove, and then I can maybe base some case law research off of those facts that we think we have the ability to prove, and then we can make some decisions from there. It's not an easy one, and it's not a clean one, and I've never been confronted with it unless it was really obvious. You know, people running a puppy mill out of their house. We know that, you know,
Where they're
there's
obviously producing something.
Yeah, you know, you know, guys, and I keep using the cabinet thing because guys were building cabinets in their garage in their back, and they had like all this, you know, phase 3 or whatever the, you know, electrical equipment is, and they were ripping the 2x4s and building cabinets and then selling them elsewhere. Like those things are they're layups. You know, we're getting into fuzzy areas here, and so I don't know. It depends on what he thinks he can prove, and then I can do some research, and then we can make some decisions on a case-by-case basis. I know that's not necessarily the kind of answer everybody wants to hear, but I don't know that I can give you like a clear-cut cookie cutter that says, okay, this is the one that fits, and now he can work off of that model.
Do we need to like clarify our zoning ordinance and say, you know, this is allowed, this isn't?
I don't really think so.
Because Rick and I looked at it one time, and it's big.
As I understand it, if it's professional offices and
Tax.
yeah, like professional services of some sort.
Lawyers.
And that's not a bad idea, Rob. Maybe that's the way to do this, is maybe what we could do is we could look at our ordinance and try to legislate it in such a way that we protect our neighborhoods the way we all want to, but by the same token, don't hurt a small business person because, and that's the other thing too, I mean, with the economy being the way it is, a lot of people are trying to do more in their house, so they don't have to rent a business or buy an office in Kingston, or nothing against Kingston. But you know, they don't have to, you know, buy or rent somewhere else. They're trying to you know, cut a corner if they can, so to speak, and maybe working on their computer from their home. So I'd like to just work with our zoning people and have them, if they really feel that there's a legitimate complaint that they're ready to possibly cite, maybe we can meet, I can get the facts from them, and then I can research it, and I can try to match up the facts with what the law is. I didn't think about your suggestion, is maybe we need to look at the ordinance and maybe try to serve two masters there, protect the neighborhoods, and at the same time make this a little clearer so that we're not killing the small business persons that we all want to help.
We need the small business, so they have to
Yeah.
help.
I would like to take that approach.
So,
I would like to take that approach. Revisit our zoning.
while looking at the ordinance? Well, that's something for maybe for the work session. Then.
Okay.
You can try to talk that
You know
through.
what? In the past, the planning commission.
It has to go to planning, it has to go to initial planning.
Yeah,
Yes, it does.
planning has to go through, it's always been on planning, when I was on planning, we revised the fence ordinance, which was archaic. So I think this is something that maybe Barb could send to, is Chris Boyd still the chair of planning? Who's the chair?
Does Jack go to the planning commission meetings too, or just the zoning meetings?
Phil Mertz.
Just zoning.
Phil Mertz is the chairman.
Oh, okay.
Right,
Maybe-
Jeff?
Phil Mertz, yeah.
Maybe,
Why don't you start there, and then if they, maybe they'll direct it to Jack and myself, and we can put all our heads together. But let them start, because they're gonna have to be the ones that are gonna try to.
yeah, what's been done in the past, Lisa, is that planning has drafted a, they propose revision to the existing ordinances, and then they pass it, and then they present it to council, say, here, this is what we think that you should be doing. And then council goes and,
Yeah, maybe it's a little antiquated, given the technology and the evolution of technology in our society. Maybe the ordinance itself might be antiquated.
Okay. Is there anything else?
I don't.
Do we have anything else for Sam? We'll leave. Okay.
Thanks.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Okay. Body presented, a list of bills. Is there a motion to pay the bills as presented?
So moved. Second.
Moved by,
Thanks.
Mr. Michael, second by Mr. Camus. Any question?
Yeah, take care.
Oh, yeah,
You have a question? Oh,
not a question, we need a, 413.
okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Yeah.
we do
Was
four
that-
one three 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 one,
I'm sorry, what were they?
413-331, we abstain on travel reimbursement.
Yeah, that's right.
Just-
Yeah, that's
okay.
okay.
Alright. Motion passed. Barbara, you said you need something adopted for the community development cooperation agreement. I don't know if I don't see it in the packet. I assume you sent it out.
Yeah, I sent copies of everything. In order to do the street improvements, we have to go through all of our, low-volume income qualifications, with the survey. There's an agreement that we have to enter into so that we can get the process moving for street improvements in the amount of $140,000.
That's a grant.
Yep,
Okay, so we need to approve the cooperation agreement.
yes.
Is there a motion to approve the cooperation agreement with Luzerne County Office of Community Development?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Michael, second by Ms. Craig. Question? We have to conduct these income surveys to qualify the streets that we propose to do. So I know at least one member of council has volunteered to assist with that, so we need to organize that. Right, Barbara?
ASAP.
ASAP. So.
Is that pretty much the same thing that we
We
did
did
the last time?
So, we'll set up, we can do another email, set up the streets. We schedule maybe a sit down where we talk about it and get it done over a couple nights or a couple days, whatever is used. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. I think the other item on the agenda we can discuss at the work session. Just make sure it is. Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I just have one question before you do that. If we can go back to the third-party building inspector for the temporary situation that we have with BIU, are they in a position to extend that another
2 weeks.
30 days, whatever your time period would be?
Because our current contract with them doesn't have a termination date, does it?
I don't believe it does.
Mr. Williams.
I don't think that it has a termination date or that
No.
we have to give a notice.
No,
I just wanted to
however,
verify.
current contract says for every day that I do any inspections here for the town, it's $200 a day. For example, I was here today to do one inspection. For the new temporary one that's there, that'll be a $50 bill. When I invoice it, for the old one, it's $200 for the day.
So,
Now, I just sent a bill in last week, and it's the prices are per the new agreement. Instead of $200 per day, I just went with the minimums, the $50 ones, just to save some money here.
okay, so how about we do this? Is there a motion to approve the temporary agreement with BIU until such a decision is made as to which party to choose as a third-party building inspector?
And
Motion by Mr. Craig, second by Mr. Camus. On the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Craig. Second by Mr. Michaels. Question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Council meeting is adjourned. We're going to brief work session. I don't think there's, hopefully there's not a lot of time. The work session. We did receive 3 proposals. We received 0 applications except for the late one that we received today.
A resume that we received
That
today.
does not have, he does not meet the qualifications.
Does not list all those qualifications, I don't think the flavor industry has them.
So nobody applied.
No,
That was qualified and on time.
correct.
All right.
I did seek out the proposals for the third party, and I presented those to everyone as well.
They're here. Please take them home and review them. I reviewed them with Barbara last week.
I narrowed it down, and Joe narrowed it down, but I don't know how this board wants to move, because now I'm kind of hearing a couple different things, and I'm not making a recommendation. I think that you need to review them and get your opinions back to me.
I think price-wise, the 2 most advantageous is BIU and Northeast.
Right.
The Barry Isset and the other ones were pretty expensive. The way up, especially Barry Isset is way up there. Then it really becomes a decision for council as to reputation, which is what Barbara and I kind of not haggle over, but beat back and forth, and that's why Barbara's not comfortable with this decision. So please review that. Please be prepared to at least discuss and hopefully make a decision at the September council meeting.
Could I say a few items about that?
Sure.
Just to compare us, questions you might want to ask. BIU, all of our inspectors are full-time BIU employees. All right? I know that there are some others out there that, the guys work for 3 or 4 different companies. They're just subcontractors to the third-party agencies. We do not charge a re-inspection fee. Some of the folks do, and it's upwards from $100 or more. I would love to get a contract like that, because I'll fail every inspection and go back and have to re-inspect for $100. Another thing is, some folks, they will give you a proposal and they'll say, well, you get a certain percentage. Ours, you will get a certain percentage of the proposal, of the fee schedule that's there. Others will just tack on that percentage over and above the fee schedule they handle to you, which is going to be more expensive for your residents. So these are just a couple of questions to ask.
So
We come here, we would deal right with your folks. You wouldn't have to go to our office or anything like that.
Thanks, Dave. So I just respectfully request that everybody review all the proposals. Any questions, please send them out. If you have a specific question you want addressed by one or more of the agencies, please get them to Barbara as soon as possible so she can contact them and get those questions answered for the council meeting. Please do that over the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Barbara, you have the electronic as well?
Yes.
I sent them to everybody, I have the electronic.
Okay. If you don't have them, let her know. She can. One other thing I have is Carl provided me, there's copies here. Anybody wants to take a look at this, either after the meeting or the next coming days. This is Quad 3's evaluation of the streets that he discussed previously from ranking. So if anybody wants to take a look at that, it's here. And Barbara presented me prior to the meeting a letter from Quad 3, and I'll ask Barbara to send this out electronically to council tomorrow. We just got it tonight. So I'll ask Barbara to email this to council tomorrow. It's regarding potentially additional amount of work that we can do on the sewer project due to the low bids. I'll briefly share it, but everyone can read tomorrow. Additional work on Rudder Avenue, Susquehanna Avenue, East Turner Street, Hughes Street, Owen Street, Fort Street, Ransom Street, Center Street, Colonial Gardens, additional manhole rehabilitations, River Street paving, Arlington Road paving, Arlington Road ADA ramps, Arlington Road storm inlets.
River Street's the same road.
Yeah.
We have sewer, repairs of the sewer.
Oh, okay.
Where did I say River Street? River Street pavement, oh, it says no additional pavement, I don't know why that's in there. Zero low, so, I don't know, we'll have to get clarification on that
I
one.
think because we went over every street that overlapped anything with the sewer or the road resurfacing.
Unless it's river from Rudder back down towards Edwards.
Okay.
That might be, because that's not state road there.
That,
Maybe.
I'm not exactly sure, we'll have to ask them. But that work is approximately $250,000, in addition to the 1.4, so it's not that significant. And then there's additional streets, which addresses all priority 1 alleys. So it would be Owen Alley from Hughes to Owen, Tripp Street, which would be, I think you mean Murray to Dead End, so it's that other part.
Yeah, all the way in by the tracks.
Yeah, by the tracks. Bidlack Alley, which is also from Bidlack Street, which would cross Murray Street to Durkee Street, actually Bidlack Street. Playground Alley, which is Oak Street to Dana Street, which everybody knows that one.
Yeah, there's
that's
some
bad.
problems there as well, with
Ma-
drainage especially.
Mack Place between Bedford and Wesley, Crown Alley between from Murray to Dana Street, Megatolsky Alley from Murray to Rodleski Alley, and Shadlarsky Alley from Murray to Shadlarsky Street. I don't know where Shadlarsky Street is.
That's the,
No, that's a little.
Shadlarsky Alley has to be between.
That goes off Murray Street, behind
Oh,
Shadlarsky's.
yeah.
That's a little piece.
Yeah. So those alleys, and that would be an additional $550,000, so a total about, what was that, $800,000? So we'll take our 1.4 to 2.2. So that's something for council to consider. I'll ask council, or I'll ask Barbara to send it out. Maybe we consider it all, maybe we consider a portion of it, maybe we consider more. But that's for discussion at a later time. All right. Frank, anything? Great. Anybody wish to say anything? Oh,
There is
sorry.
one thing, there is one
Wait,
thing.
I'll let Jeff go first, and then you go.
With regards to the planning commission?
Yes.
Whenever we had planning commission meetings, Steve was in attendance.
Great.
Obviously with Steve gone, is there any way we can have our engineers attend the planning commission meetings?
Yeah,
Is that something that was done in the
we
past?
have to pay for that.
I would say if there's something that we need them for, yes. Even with Jack Gill, possibly that's something we can, if there's, like we're discussing this ordinance, maybe we want Jack Gill there. I would just be careful when we ask professionals to come, because they're going to grill us. So if we need them, then I would say
If
yes.
something comes up,
Yeah.
Dr. Marks could make a request for engineers?
Yes, I would think that'd be appropriate.
Yeah, I suggest that to minimize those costs, what you do is, as a planning commission, get together, get a proposal, and send it off to them, say, here's what we're thinking about doing, do you see any problems with it? Just to minimize the cost of, them coming out to the meetings, and people meeting and everything else.
Right. I just want to make sure we have the answers when we're making
Right.
decisions, that's all.
Yeah.
Barbara, you got something? Time's ticking here.
I know. On compost.
Okay.
I forgot.
I've been in touch with so many people, trying to make this effort smooth, clean, our I's dotted, our T's crossed. Quad 3 has to check, we did a model example to see if everything would work, that we're not raising any of the flood heights, near the floodway, not floodplain. And the model that they did not raise flood heights. That means if everything goes smooth with the recommendations made by FEMA, for us to meet that criteria, I can submit our DEP grant so that we can have our compost site. And I buried this hatchet probably about 3 months ago, but I think I'm this close to getting everything finalized. I also am working on a disaster recovery grant that is due on Friday. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna get from the engineers yet because they're still plugging in some information, so I'm trying to do everything, even if I apply for a portion. I never received any other word from the Gowers, so I changed our flood mitigation to the creek work that was washed out, that the stabilization of the banks have been, really made a mess of. We're trying to clean everything up as much as we can, so I have a lot of things out there. Say an extra prayer, that's all that's.
Ronnie, you want to say anything?
No,
you sure? All right.
Thank you. It's over. Mr. Williams, we'll be in contact.
Well, this says Secretary.
Yeah, I'm gonna get over, yeah. Hey, handsome, let's go. You're not good as us. Good night, everyone. We'll see you. Good night, Rich.
Good money. Good luck.
Listen to you already.